Plant scientist says human biodiversity advocates are obsessed with Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons. Kevin Byrd is a postdoc fellow at the University of California, Davis, in the Plant Science Department. On September 29, 2024, an article appeared in the UK Guardian. Professor Byrd skewered race realism science advocate Steve Saylor. Saylor, 64, is a soft-spoken, self-proclaimed beach bum and golf geek who lives in Southern California. Saylor is a statistics enthusiast. He frequently shares data on X and at Substack highlighting racial differences, especially in crime statistics. This often provokes strong reactions from race realism deniers who oppose his views on human biodiversity. Saylor has been a top figure in the human biodiversity movement going back 3 decades. Note, human biodiversity, HBD, is often spelled with a hyphen, other times not. It is simply a personal preference. Also, other compatible terms that are often used include race realist, subspeciest, and human variationist. What is HBD? The term HBD likely originated on the social media platform Reddit in the early 2010s and was further popularized by the blog HBD Chick, which started in 2017. HBD Chick, human biodiversity, is very simply the diversity found among and between human populations that has a biological basis. Emil Kierkegaard is widely considered one of the founders of HBD. He has a BA in linguistics from Aarhus University in Denmark. Kierkegaard on Reddit. I always thought of HBD as being about genetic differences between humans. It's the combined area of evolutionary psychology, behavioral genetics, population genetics, and differential psychology. HBD proponents are often attacked as, quote, far right, racist, and even white supremacist, end quote. From the Genetic Literacy Project 2022, HBD, as is often referred to, is the quote-unquote pseudoscience of the alt-right, opines Vox. However, as human biodiversity began to gain traction in the 2010s, it earned support from some mainstream geneticists. The human biodiversity movement received a significant boost in 2010-11 when Nobel Prize-winning geneticist Svante Pääbo announced the discovery of Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA in modern Eurasians. Vivian Chow, Harvard University PhD candidate and noted forensics human genetics expert, Harvard Review 2017, quote, alt-right is no longer an easily dismissed fringe group. Their arguments have some factual basis, end quote. Continuing, quote, alt-right proponents have stated correctly that many people with European and Asian descent have inherited 1 to 4% of their DNA from Neanderthal ancestors, and those of African descent do not have Neanderthal heritage, end quote. Professor Shaniqua Collier, George Washington University Genetics Department, PBS Nova, 2019, quote, as people migrated out in small cohorts, random chance led to disparate groups leaving with slightly different genetic makeups, end quote. Continuing, quote, then as populations settled around the globe, many of these differences were further shaped and strengthened by distinct environments, end quote. Quote, are there human races? Yes. As we all know, there are morphologically different groups of people who live in different areas. And if one looked only at their genes, one would obviously find more genetic differences. End quote. Dr. Jerry Coyne, Harvard biologist, personal blog, 2012. Ideological clash. Marxism versus human biodiversity. On September 28, 2024, the UK Guardian published a piece, Florida University to host extremists after DeSantis led lurch to right. Next month, New College of Florida will welcome activist and writer Steve Saylor, a proponent of scientific racism. Continuing, Kevin Byrd, evolutionary biologist at UC Davis, has been an outspoken critic of scientific racism. He says that HBD is a, quote, euphemism used to give a polite name to race science, end quote. In 2022, Byrd appeared on an episode of The Left Reckoning. Is Science Political? The Fight Against Reactionary Genetics. He is described at the page as a quote-unquote leftist. Continuing from The Guardian, he added that the term HBD, quote, sounds sciencey. Their hope is you can say it in polite society and not sound like a deranged racist, end quote. Continuing, Byrd adds, quote, of course they just then talk about human races as if they're like the races in Dungeons and Dragons or Tolkien, end quote. Dwarfs and hobbits. In 2003, the discovery of Homo floresiensis in Indonesia was announced. Scientists nicknamed the species the hobbits due to their small stature and unique features. Chris Stringer, CBS News 2010. The diminutive size of Homo floresiensis earned it the nickname Hobbit, after J.R.R. Tolkien's small Middle-earth inhabitants. This name helps make the discovery more relatable and memorable to the public. Recently, a Neanderthal fossil found in France was named Thorin, after the character from J.R.R. Tolkien's works. Genetic analysis of tooth found at Groot-Mandarin showed that the Neanderthal came from an isolated subspecies 50,000 years ago. Salon, Genetic Analysis of Neanderthal 2024. The fact that this Neanderthal was among the final individuals within its community inspired Professor Ludovic Slimak to affix its literary name. Quote, Thorin in The Hobbit is one of the last dwarf kings under the mountain and the last of its lineage. Thorin the Neanderthal is also an end of its lineage, end quote, he said. Professor Byrd chose to lower the level of debate by using literary references to discredit HBD advocates, rather than focusing on the science and fostering open, respectful dialogue. We will be taking a deep dive into Thorin and the newly discovered Neanderthal subspecies in a future video. Coming soon. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, and pass this video on to others. We'll see you soon.